Hello everyone, thank you for joining me again and welcome to any new viewers. This is To The Point English with Ben. I'm Ben, and a slightly different video for you today because I'm actually responding to a request that I had in the comments section to a recent video I made. Yes, I do requests. And the video I made was on tips on how to learn English faster. And my last tip was to read more active reading, and I specifically recommended reading articles because it's a very good way to expose yourself to a variety of different texts. If you read a book, that's fine. Reading books is great. I recommend that too. But it takes a long time to read a book, and you're just only really following one style. If you read different types of articles, you get exposure to a wider range of vocabulary. So the request was for me to give some recommendations on websites where you, as students, where English learners, where you can find good and useful articles. I think you can explore for yourselves. I mean, the internet is a huge thing, but to make it easier for you, I'm going to recommend 5 really useful websites for articles. So the first 2 maybe are a little bit predictable, a little bit obvious, especially coming from a British English teacher. But the others are maybe less predictable. Maybe you won't know them, or if you know them, maybe you don't use them so much. So the first one, number 1, is The Guardian. Now, The Guardian, I'm sure you're familiar with, is a very big, famous British newspaper. And I recommend The Guardian for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's just full of really interesting and useful articles, in my opinion, on a wide range of topics. But I particularly recommend The Guardian newspaper because the Cambridge English exams actually use articles from The Guardian in the reading paper for the exams. Now, I know many of you are not preparing for the Cambridge English exams, but I think that just shows that if Cambridge consider these articles useful for English learners, I think they're good for anyone, whether you're taking an exam or not. But as with most of these websites that I'm recommending, it's not enough just going to the homepage and sort of looking at the first stories or first articles that are recommended to you, because with The Guardian, of course, you're going to get the current news articles, stories on what's happening in the world now, and that's fine. That's very useful too. Of course, it's good to read about what's happening now to get the up-to-date vocabulary. But I also recommend you spend some time exploring a little bit, delving a little bit deeper into the website. So with The Guardian, for example, I'd recommend you check out the lifestyle section, the culture section. Also, there's an environment section. Of course, the environment is a very common topic in the Cambridge English exams, but it's very useful to get that vocabulary anyway. So yeah, in general, just explore a little bit. As I said, a lot of people just go to a website, see the first few stories. If they don't like them, they just go to another website, but it's worth making an effort. My second recommendation today, again quite predictable, but it's the BBC. Now the BBC is huge, of course, as a company, but also the website is enormous. Again, when you go to the homepage, you'll get all the latest news stories, again very useful, but also delve a little deeper to these more sort of social or cultural articles that they have. And I highly recommend you go to the section which is work-life. So the work-life section contains a lot of articles, really interesting, really useful, not only about work, curiously. I mean, of course, the title is Work Life, so most of them are about work. But you can also find sections within work life on, for example, how we work, how we live, how we think. And exploring those, you'll find articles that you're really going to find interesting and on a wide range of different topics, so you can expand your vocabulary. But remember what I always say, especially for those of you preparing for the exams, you shouldn't always read articles that are about things you find interesting. Of course, that's more motivating, but I also recommend that you read articles that you wouldn't normally read. Because if you're only reading articles that you find interesting about your hobbies, you're just going to be reinforcing the same vocabulary over and over. But if you force yourself, or at least try to find other topics interesting, then you're going to, you can be exposed to a much wider range of vocabulary. So that's true of whatever website we're talking about today, but as I said, you have to be a bit proactive and delve a little bit deeper. Okay, the next website we're going to look at now is for an American alternative. Obviously the first two we've looked at are from British websites, but this one is an American alternative, and it's The New Yorker. Now, The New Yorker is another classic. It was founded in 1925. Again, it contains a wide range of really interesting articles, and of course written in American English, so you can expose yourself to slightly different spelling, of course, maybe some different vocabulary, and even a different perspective on issues in the world. Now, what I really like about The New Yorker, and this doesn't really have anything to do with learning English, but I like the style. It has this really nice typeface or font. I think it's Art Nouveau. It's that kind of 20s feel to it. Although it's a very modern publication, and the articles, the topics they discuss are very modern, but I really like the style, the way it's presented. It's special, I think. It's a little different to others. Okay, these next two websites are slightly different to the first three. You may or may not be familiar with them, but I think they're very useful anyway. The next one is Medium. Medium. Have you heard of Medium? Maybe. Well, Medium is a kind of social journalism platform. It's an open platform, and Medium calls itself a living network for curious minds. And it's an open platform, as I said, for both amateurs and professionals, so experts, journalists, or just individuals. Anyone can publish articles and contribute to the website. But it's a platform for them just to get their publications out there. And as a user of the website, you can follow certain writers, or you get recommendations sort of based on the articles you've read before and liked, and how much time you spend on each article. So again, I recommend that you're proactive when you're exploring this website. And I mean that you don't only read the articles that perhaps they recommend, that you kind of explore a little bit more. You start looking for topics and writers that perhaps you wouldn't usually follow, that not your typical interests, but to expand your vocabulary. And also, I think it's useful just to expose yourself to a wider range of input, right, of different topics. It expands your mind and it broadens your horizons. Okay, and the last recommendation today is a website called Longreads. And this is what Longreads say about themselves. They say that Longreads is dedicated to helping people find and share the best long-term non-fiction storytelling on the web. So you can find essays, investigative reporting, interviews, all kinds of things here, and it's all kind of compiled, again, to make it easier for you, so you don't have to go exploring various different websites. It's all compiled in one place, and it's actually very easy to use. It's a nice platform, it's quite intuitive. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges nowadays, to make a platform or a website that is pleasant to use, right? That you don't feel you get lost and you find it difficult to find what to read next. This one is particularly well designed, I think. And as you can see, you have the editor's picks, which you could just go straight there if you don't have time to think or explore. You have the best of 2021, you have features. So you again, if you want to be proactive and explore yourself, that's great. But if you're pushed for time or you're feeling a bit lazy, you can just go for the editor's picks and read whatever they're recommending for that day. As always, with this type of video, it would be great and extremely helpful if you could share your own recommendations in the comments, because the internet is a big place, right? And these are my 5 recommendations, but I'm sure there are a lot more websites with a lot of useful articles to read. Okay, so thank you for joining me, and I'll see you very soon for another video.